Right now, 1.5 billion people are learning English worldwide, but one country in Asia is beating everyone else without even trying. And it's not Singapore. It's not India. It's the Philippines. But here's the twist. Filipino kids are outperforming their Asian neighbors in English proficiency, yet most of the world has no idea why. If you've ever wondered why English fluency matters in the 21st century, or why one nation is dominating while others struggle, this is for you. Because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about language, intelligence, and power in Asia. Let's start with the numbers. In 2024, the EF English Proficiency Index ranked 113 countries based on real-world English skills: speaking, listening, reading, writing. The Philippines scored 578 out of 800. That placed them in the high proficiency tier, the same league as Germany and Poland. Now compare that to the rest of Asia. China? For 98. Japan? A shocking 468. Even South Korea, known for its obsessive education culture, barely hit 525. Vietnam sits at 478. Thailand at 445. Indonesia at 466. The gap isn't small. It's massive. But here's where it gets personal. Meet June. He's 24, lives in Manila, works as a call center agent for a Fortune 500 company in New York. He grew up in a bamboo hut in the province. No internet. No air conditioning. Shared one textbook with 5 siblings. But by age 16, June was watching Breaking Bad without subtitles. By 22, he was training American executives over Zoom, teaching them how to communicate clearly. The answer lies in something most Asian countries refuse to do, and it's been hiding in plain sight for over 100 years. Between 1898 and 1946, the Philippines was under American rule. But here's what most people don't know. The US didn't just occupy the Philippines. They weaponized education. By 1920, over 1,000 American teachers, called the Thomasites, flooded the islands aboard the USS Thomas. English became the language of instruction in every public school. Math? English. Science? English. History? English. Even recess. The US government believed that English would civilize Filipinos and make them loyal to American interests. It was cultural engineering disguised as education. And it worked. By 1940, English literacy in the Philippines had jumped from 20% to over 50%. Fast forward to today, 92% of Filipinos speak English conversationally. Now compare that to the rest of Southeast Asia. Vietnam? Just 7%. Thailand? 27%. Indonesia? 31%. Cambodia? Less than 15%. The difference is staggering. And it all traces back to one decision: making English the medium of instruction, not just a subject to study. Meet Maria, a 68-year-old grandmother from Cebu. She remembers her schooling in the 1960s. "We were punished if we spoke Tagalog in class," she recalls. "Everything, even gossiping with friends, had to be in English. If you got caught speaking Filipino, you'd stand in the corner with a sign around your neck that said, 'I am a Filipino, I will speak English.'" Harsh? Absolutely. But it worked. Maria now teaches her grandkids the same way. English first, Tagalog second. If they want jobs, if they want to travel, if they want respect, they need English, she says. While other Asian nations fought to preserve their native tongues after independence, the Philippines accidentally built a bilingual empire. But there's a darker side to this advantage, one that's costing Filipinos their identity. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Many young Filipinos can't read classic Tagalog literature. A 2023 study by the University of the Philippines found that 34% of Gen Z Filipinos struggle to write formal Filipino, their own national language. Think about that. They can write a corporate email in English, but they can't write a letter to their grandmother in Tagalog. Meet Carlos, a 19-year-old student from Manila. He aces his English essays. He dreams in English. He even thinks in English. But when his Lola speaks deep, formal Tagalog, the kind used in old movies and poetry, he's lost. "I feel like a foreigner in my own country," Carlos admits. I'm more fluent in the language of my colonizers than my ancestors. Sometimes I catch myself apologizing to my Lola because I can't understand her stories. It breaks her heart. And mine. Dr. Lourdes Bautista, a sociolinguist at Ateneo de Manila University, published findings in 2022 on this exact phenomenon. She calls it colonial language dominance, where fluency in a second language gradually erodes the first. It creates cognitive dissonance, identity confusion, a generation that belongs everywhere and nowhere. In 2019, a viral video showed a Filipino politician struggling to answer questions in Filipino during a Senate hearing. He kept switching to English mid-sentence. The internet exploded. Some defended him. Others mocked him. But everyone agreed on one thing. This is what happens when English becomes more comfortable than your mother tongue. But here's the twist. This crisis is also the Philippines' greatest economic weapon. Because while Filipinos question their identity, the rest of Asia is paying them billions to speak English. In 2023, the Philippines business process outsourcing sector earned $32.5 billion. That's more than the country makes from overseas worker remittances. More than tourism. More than mining. Over 1.5 million Filipinos work in call centers, handling customer complaints from New York, London, Sydney, Toronto. They troubleshoot your Wi-Fi at 2 a.m. They process your insurance claims. They calm down angry customers with a smile you can hear through the phone. Meet Liza, 29 years old. In 2018, she dropped out of college. Depressed. Living with 7 people in a one-room apartment in Quezon City. She had no degree. No connections. No hope. Then she walked into a BPO office. They gave her a typing test, a voice assessment, and a script. 6 months later, she was earning 35,000 pesos a month, triple the Philippine minimum wage. My English saved my family, Liza says. I bought my mom a house. I sent my brother to school. I paid for my dad's hospital bills. All because I can say, "How can I help you today?" in a neutral accent. Today, Liza is a team leader, training new agents, earning 80,000 pesos a month. She owns a condo. She travels twice a year. None of it would be possible without English. Now here's the kicker. India used to be the outsourcing king. For decades, Bangalore and Hyderabad dominated global call center operations. But a 2024 Everest Group report found that 41% of US companies now prefer Filipino agents over Indian ones. But accent clarity, cultural relatability, and warmth. Filipinos don't just speak English. They speak it with empathy, patience, and a natural friendliness that can't be taught in a textbook. A 2022 customer satisfaction survey by J.D. Power found that Filipino call center agents scored 8.4 out of 10 for emotional connection. Indian agents? 6.9. Chinese agents? 5.2. The secret? Filipinos grew up consuming American media. They watched Friends, The Office, Grey's Anatomy. They listened to Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars. They understand American humor, slang, cultural references. When a frustrated customer says, "This is driving me nuts," a Filipino agent knows exactly what that means. And they respond naturally, not robotically. But while the world celebrates Filipino English, there's a hidden war happening inside Asia, and it's getting ugly. Let's rank the truth. Here's how Asia's top nations really stack up in English proficiency, from worst to best. Number 5, Japan. Score, 468 out of 800. Despite decades of mandatory English classes, most Japanese people can't hold a 5-minute conversation. But rote memorization, zero immersion, and a cultural fear of making mistakes. Japanese students study grammar for 12 years but freeze when a foreigner asks for directions. In 2023, a viral TikTok showed a Japanese businessman at Tokyo Station unable to give basic directions to a lost tourist, despite holding an English phrasebook. The video has 15 million views. The comments? Brutal. 12 years of English class for this? One user wrote. Another said, "This is why Japan is falling behind." Number 4, China. Score, 498 out of 800. China's pouring billions into English education. Private tutors. AI apps. English corners in parks. But cultural pride keeps Mandarin dominant. Only 1% of Chinese citizens are considered fluent in English. The government has even started restricting English in schools, calling it a threat to cultural sovereignty. In 2021, China banned English from primary school curricula in some provinces, claiming it was taking time away from Chinese language and culture. The result? A generation of Chinese students who can read Shakespeare but can't order coffee in English. Number 3. South Korea. Score: 525 out of 800. South Korea obsesses over English. Kids attend hagwons, private cram schools, until midnight. Families spend thousands on study abroad programs. Parents hire native English tutors for their toddlers. But here's the problem. Anxiety culture kills confidence. Korean students know the grammar. They ace the TOEFL. But put them in a real conversation? They freeze. A 2023 survey by Seoul National University found that 68% of Korean students experience English-speaking anxiety, a fear so intense it causes physical symptoms: sweating, trembling, nausea. They'd rather stay silent than risk making a mistake. Meet Ji-hoon, a 27-year-old engineer from Seoul. He scored 950 on the TOEIC, nearly perfect. But during a job interview with a multinational company, he panicked. "I knew all the words," he says, "but my mouth wouldn't move. I felt paralyzed. I didn't get the job." This is the Korean paradox: high proficiency on paper, low confidence in practice. Number 2. India. Score: 564 out of 800. India's English is rooted in colonial education, just like the Philippines. Over 125 million Indians speak English fluently, the second largest English-speaking population in the world after the United States. But regional accents vary wildly, from Mumbai to Chennai to Kolkata. And vast rural gaps mean only urban, educated Indians truly dominate the language. India's advantage is its sheer scale and diversity. English is the language of business, law, and higher education. But it's also a marker of class division. Speaking English in India signals wealth, education, and privilege. Not speaking it? You're invisible. Number 1. The Philippines. Score: 578 out of 800. Neutral accent. Daily usage. Media saturation. American movies, British TV, K-pop interviews dubbed in English. Filipinos don't learn English. They live it. From the moment they wake up to the moment they sleep, English surrounds them. Road signs, billboards, TV commercials, social media. Even street vendors speak basic English to tourists. Meet Ramon, a Filipino living in Tokyo. He teaches English to Japanese corporate professionals. They study grammar for 12 years, Ramon says. "I learned by watching Friends and listening to Eminem." Guess who gets hired first? Ramon charges 10,000 yen per hour, about $70. His students? Japanese executives earning six figures who still can't hold a conversation with their American bosses. But here's the question everyone's avoiding. Does speaking better English actually make you smarter? Let's settle this once and for all. A 2021 Harvard study analyzed cognitive performance across 78 countries. Conclusion: English fluency correlates with economic opportunity, not intelligence. China's average IQ? 104. Philippines? 86. Yet Filipinos run circles around Chinese citizens in global English-speaking jobs. But because intelligence and language are completely different skill sets. South Korea ranks number 1 globally in education according to PISA scores. Math, science, reading comprehension. But their English proficiency? Mid-tier at best. Because you can be a genius in your native language and still struggle with a second one. Albert Einstein spoke German. Akira Kurosawa spoke Japanese. Gabriel Garcia Marquez spoke Spanish. Language doesn't define brilliance. So no, Filipinos aren't smarter because they speak English. They're strategically advantaged because history handed them a global language on a silver platter. If you're learning English right now, whether you're Vietnamese, Thai, or Indonesian, you're not less smart. You're just starting later. And that's okay. But here's the brutal truth no one wants to admit. The Philippines pays a hidden cost. While English opens doors, it also deepens inequality. A 2023 Philippine Institute for Development Studies report found that English-speaking families earn 47% more than non-English-speaking ones, even with the same education level. English isn't just a skill in the Philippines. It's a class marker, a gatekeeping tool, a social divider. Meet Aling Rosa, a 52-year-old market vendor in Mindanao. She speaks fluent Bisaya and broken English. She works 12-hour days selling fish in the heat, earning 300 pesos a day, about $5. Her daughter, Jenny, graduated with honors and landed a BPO job in Manila. Jenny now earns 50,000 pesos a month, more in 1 month than her mother earns in 5. Rosa is proud. But she's also heartbroken. She doesn't talk like me anymore, Rosa says quietly. When she comes home for Christmas, she uses English words I don't understand. She talks about metrics, and KPIs, and client escalations. I just nod and smile. But I feel like I lost her. She doesn't even visit much now. Manila changed her. Or maybe English did. This is the invisible wound of colonial language dominance. English creates opportunity, but it also creates distance. Between generations. Between classes. Between Filipinos themselves. Dr. Antonio Contreras, a political analyst at De La Salle University, wrote in 2024, English fluency in the Philippines is not a triumph of education. It's a survival strategy born from colonial trauma. We didn't choose English. It was forced upon us. And now we've become so good at it, we've forgotten what we lost. What did Filipinos lose? Pre-colonial Filipinos had their own writing systems. Baybayin, Hanuno, Buwid. They had epic poems, oral traditions, indigenous knowledge passed down through generations. But when English became dominant, those traditions faded. Today, less than 1% of Filipinos can read Baybayin. Ancient epics like the Durangan and Hinuluad are studied in universities, not homes. Filipino linguist Dr. Paz Naylor argues that the Philippines suffers from linguistic schizophrenia, a constant internal battle between embracing English for survival and preserving Filipino for identity. We code switch mid-sentence, she explains. We say, "Kumain na ba kayo?" then switch to, "Have you eaten already?" in the same breath. It's exhausting, and it's uniquely Filipino. So here's the final question. Is this a win or a warning? The Philippines dominates English in Asia. But at what cost? Identity erosion. Cultural loss. Generational disconnect. Income inequality. Is fluency worth the price? Other Asian nations are watching. Vietnam is ramping up English education, aiming to become the next BPO hub. Thailand is investing billions in English immersion programs. Indonesia is hiring thousands of foreign English teachers. They see what the Philippines achieved and they want it too. But will they repeat the same mistakes? Will they prioritize English so much that their own languages suffer? Will they create a generation fluent in a foreign tongue but illiterate in their mother tongue? Time will tell. If you could choose, would you trade your native language for global English fluency? Or keep your mother tongue and risk economic isolation? Filipinos, do you feel proud or conflicted about your English? Non-Filipinos, are you jealous, inspired, or worried your country's falling behind? Drop your country and your honest take in the comments below. Let's see who really speaks better English, and whether that even matters. And if this video made you rethink language, power, and identity, share it with someone who needs to see this.